We will now begin to look at the part-part-whole model. We have one part plus another part equals the whole. So this says there were 4 butterflies and 2 ladybugs sitting on a branch. How many insects were sitting on the branch? So notice they drew a picture, first part, second part equals the whole. We want to try and move the drawing a picture to bar model. So I want to show you how to incorporate a bar model or strip diagram with your students. But first, there are 3 types of part-part-whole models, and the first one would be where you have your total unknown. 3 red apples and 2 green apples are on the table. How many apples are on the table? So you have both parts, you know both parts, but you don't know the total. The second type is the add-in unknown. 5 apples are on the table, 3 are red, and the rest are green. How many apples are green? So you know one part, but you're looking for the second part, and you do know the total. And then the third type would be both add-ins unknown. For example, Grandma has 5 flowers. How many can she put in her red vase, and how many in her blue vase? So in this case, we definitely know the total, and it's 5 flowers. So we're looking for all the different combinations of making 5. So back to the first word problem, there were 4 butterflies and 2 ladybugs sitting on a branch. How many insects were sitting on the branch? The first thing that you would want your students to do is to answer the question sentence. There were blank insects sitting on the branch. Period. So we know that our first part was 4 butterflies. So in this part-part-whole model, you want to draw both boxes, okay? In the first part, you're going to label, which is 4 butterflies, and then 2 ladybugs. And we know that 4 plus 2 equals 6, which is our whole, but we want to represent it with a question mark. Okay, the last thing that you definitely want them to do after they have solved their problem, you want to make sure that they fill in their answer statement. That tends to be skipped sometimes, so we want to make sure that they're still filling that in and answering that question sentence. So now let's try an example ourselves. There were 26 apples and 18 bananas in the fruit bowl. How many pieces of fruit were in the bowl? So the first thing, teachers, remember we want the students to do is to write an answer statement. There were blank pieces of fruit in the bowl. Now we're going to go ahead and draw our model. And it says there were 26 apples. So we want to represent it. 26 is larger than 18. So I want to kind of make this box a little larger. And I'm going to label this one apples. And 18 bananas in the fruit bowl. So I'll label this bananas. how many pieces of fruit were in the bowl? And I'm going to put a question mark there. Now, this is definitely a second grade word problem. So your second graders might use an open number line to solve this. And if we take 26 plus 18, and we get a total of 44, we know that 26 plus 18 equals 44. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my answer statement. There were 44 pieces of fruit in the bowl. Now, if my students were going to solve this with an open number line or decomposing, before we get into regrouping, we would write this as 26 plus 18. And I would probably decompose this as 20 and 6 and 10 and 8. So I'd add my two 10s. 20 plus 10 equals 30. And 6 plus 8 is 14. So 30 plus 14 equals 44, which is the same total that we got. So let's look at another problem. It says, Jim had 25 red and yellow jelly beans. If he had 14 yellow jelly beans, how many red jelly beans did he have? So again, the first thing we want to do is start with our answer statement. Jim had blank red jelly beans, period. Because we know he had red and yellow, we just don't know how many red he had. So in this case, we definitely know the total, which is 25, and we know a part, which is the yellow. So when drawing my model, we definitely know the total, which is 25, but we only know a part. He had 14 yellow jelly beans, and we're looking for the other part, which is red. So we could definitely subtract the total, and then we will get, subtract, using the total, subtract the yellow part, and then get the red. So we would have 25 minus 14 equals 11. Make sure I fill in my answer statement with 11. Now, one way I could check this word problem or check my subtraction would be to add the two add-ins together to equal the total. So if I were to put 11 in this box, I can come down here and say 14 plus 11 equals 25.